Our first guest tonight is the man who is in charge of our nation's interior enforcement. He formerly served as a U.S. Border Patrol chief. He is now President Trump's choice to lead our Immigration and Customs Agency, and he is the man in charge of, as I said, interior enforcement. Joining us tonight is Mark Morgan, Acting Director of ICE. Mark, great to have you with us on the broadcast. I have to, if I may, just to ask, do you know who Chuck Schumer was referring to? Someone at Citizenship and Immigration Services and someone at DHS who said it would be impossible to enforce our immigration laws?
No, I do not know who he is referring to, Lou, and I always second guess when it's an anonymous source. So clearly, we're not going to go out and apprehend millions of people at one time, but we do have millions of people that are here illegally. Right. We have over 1 million people that have had due process, as you said, who had a fair hearing, and a judge has ordered them removed, and they still remain here. We're going to start looking at that demographic and start enforcing the law and applying consequences.
And the president, in absolutely insisting that immigration laws be enforced, that the border be secured, has had to fight members of his own party, rhinos for the most part, certainly, including Mitch McConnell, the majority leader. He's been unyielding in his resistance, without explanation, frankly. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, refusing to acknowledge, let alone take action on their constitutional responsibility to enforce laws. This, the president has served notice now in selecting you as ICE director, in putting together a team at DHS in which he has confidence that those days are over. It is time to get very serious about the horrible impact of illegal immigration and a government that will not enforce laws.
Lou, that's exactly right. The president is absolutely clear, and he's been clear. He wants to maintain the integrity of our immigration system and the rule of law. And I agree with him 100%. If you've come here illegally, you had due process, and you've been ordered removed by a judge, consequences should be applied. The rule of law should be enforced, and you should be removed. It's not any more complicated than that. We're going to do this with humanity and compassion and dignity. And what I'm saying right now, and the president, I believe, is saying the same thing. Look, by letting people know what's happening, I'm hoping and I'm encouraging these individuals who have final orders of removal, don't make ICE come to you. Don't make ICE come to your neighborhood, to your job, to your home. Come to us. We're asking you to comply with the law and the order, work with ICE, and we will work with you in a humane way to return you to your country of origin. That's what we're asking these individuals to do.
And, of course, you're now hearing from Schumer attacking ICE. You've got candidates in the Democratic Party saying they want to defund ICE. The language has been shocking. Some referring to ICE as a Nazi agency. Today, AOC referring to concentration camps run by ICE. The ignorance, the appalling ignorance of these combatants, political combatants, trying to, I mean, it's frankly, it is racism of condescension that they believe the audience for those kinds of remarks will not be appalled by that language and will not understand who AOC truly is as she indulges in that kind of language.
Lou, that's absolutely right. And this one thing that gets me very frustrated. Anyone in Congress that says the things that they've been saying about to abolish ICE and vilify the men and women of ICE who risk their lives every single day to safeguard the citizens of this country, to carry out the very laws that Congress has enacted. It's not right. It's irresponsible and misinformed. If Congress does not like the laws that they've entrusted and mandated ICE enform, then Congress needs to change the laws. Stop vilifying the law enforcement agency responsible for carrying out the laws. They need to start looking at their own issues and why they're not doing what needs to be done to safeguard this country.
And of course, enforcing those laws is counter to everything that the Chamber of Commerce stands for, which is cheap labor and wide open borders, irrespective of the harm it does to working men and women, small business in this country. The ignorance of the chamber and the Koch brothers is palpable, and it is propelling, obviously, the interest of both the Republican and Democratic rhino establishments.
So, Lou, that's a great point, and that when these migrants are coming here and they have to pay money and they take this perilous trek where the cartels get, rich, $1 billion industry, those individuals that are coming here, their exploitation doesn't stop at the border. Once they get into the United States, they continue to be exploited, whether it's from sexual exploitation or whether it's being forced to take jobs at a lower wage. This is absolutely part of this. It's not just a national security threat, but it is a humanitarian threat. And so by us focusing on interior enforcement, we're going to send a message. If you come here illegally, you will be removed. I believe that is the humane issue. That is the humane tactic to use. We don't want them taking that perilous trek. And this is what's so frustrating. The American people need to understand this.
And the American people, I truly believe, do understand it. The confusion is for so many of those illegal immigrants who were told by the primarily the radical Dems, the NGOs and nonprofits that are working every day, as you well know, in the Iron Triangle and in Mexico, trying to drive more illegal immigrants from Central America and, yes, Mexico into this country illegally, with the full support, of course, of the Mexican drug cartels as they continue to smuggle these illegals and make billions of dollars, smuggle deadly drugs into this country and make billions of dollars, and sex trafficking making billions of dollars. These are the enemies of ICE and of this country, and it's unfortunate that people like AOC, Tlaib, Omar have no respect for the reality, which is exactly that. They are siding with the cartels in their extraordinary criticism of ICE. Mark Morgan, thank you, sir. You're the right man for the job at the right time, and we wish you all the very best. Great success. Thank you,
Lou.
Mark Morgan.
Thank you.